I had borrowed the cabin of a co-worker who used it during hunting season. He told me it was old and quiet, and that it was located so far from the nearest town that my cell phone would not work before reaching the cabin. And that was exactly what I needed. I had one day off with nowhere I needed to be, so I brought enough food, a paperback, and a small radio I never turned on. By late morning, the road had narrowed to a track made of white soil among dead pine trees. The smoke from fires somewhere west had settled over everything. The sun was visible, but only as an orange disk. The cabin was a single timber room with a small enclosed bathroom attached to its rear wall. A covered porch ran across the front. Inside, it smelled like old wood and dust, but it was tidy. With the window shut, the smoke penetrated very little. For a while, the place felt protected from all that was going on outside. Around noon, I heard the sound of something scraping the porch. It was long enough for me to think that the wind had moved something. The gusts had been getting stronger and blowing dry pine needles across the roof and knocking branches against the walls. I glanced through the front window anyway. Nothing was there. By mid-afternoon, ash had started falling. Not heavily, just enough to coat all dark outdoor surfaces in a layer of gray. The porch railing, my car, and even the leaves near the steps looked faded. The smoke thickened until the trees beyond the clearing lost their edges. After that, I could not concentrate on my reading anymore. Every few minutes, I found myself turning my attention to the windows, mostly because there was so little else to look at. The wind shifted hard sometime before sunset. I heard the noise of something heavy on the porch, followed by a muted bump beneath the side window. This one made me get up and wait, but nothing happened. I convinced myself one of the porch chairs had tipped over. The cabin had two old wooden chairs, both heavier than they looked. However, the gusts were strong enough that I could believe it. Then I remembered the fire conditions. My coworker had asked me to check around the porch if the wind picked up, just in case burning debris started coming down. I did not see anything glowing outside, but I thought it would be better to check once than spend the evening worrying about it. I put on my shoes and went out. The smoke made the clearing seem much smaller than it had that morning. There were no burning embers that I could see. One of the porch chairs was gone. I found it around the cabin, near its side wall, directly beneath the window. It was upright. At first, I believed the wind had somehow pushed it there. But then I noticed the ashes on the window. The entire outside of the window had collected a thin gray film, except for one area. A broad smear had been wiped across the glass right at my height, not cleanly, more like someone had used the side of a hand to clear enough space to see through. There were narrower streaks beside it. I looked at the screen of the window. One corner had been pulled slightly away from the frame. I did not touch anything. From the position of the chair, whoever had been on it would be able to look straight into the room at the table where I had been reading for many hours. I backed away and began to scan the trees. I could not see more than 30 or 40 yards. The wind moved through the pines, and ashes continued to cover the porch between us. That was when the noise I'd heard around noon came back to me. I went inside, locked the door, and packed without turning on any more lights. I kept expecting someone to knock or step onto the porch or simply appear outside one of the windows. Nobody did. My car started normally. I drove out before dark and did not stop until my phone had service again. Later, my coworker asked if I'd moved the chair because he'd found it beside the cabin when he went up the following week. I told him I had not. And I did not mention the smear on the window either.
Like Shh.